Do not pay attention to the woman behind the curtain.
First Toto.
Right? Am I good?
No.
Am I green?
No, you're nothing.
You're on, don't touch it.
You're bad and green.
I love Christine.
Hands away from me.
Oh my gosh, I can't stop touching stuff. All right. So, good morning. Good morning. So, we're going to get started. Elizabeth, not calling you out, but I thought I was going to have special guests today. Where's my berry? Oh, sorry. I won't call attention to you. So the first order of business is happy birthday, Terry. The second order of business. So this morning we're going to be talking about the light of the world. So this is one of, and I was telling Linda and Kayla this morning that I had to change my lesson because I said this is one of my favorite names that Jesus gives himself, but I had to change it to this is one of Christine's favorite names. So over the past weeks, I've been really focusing in on the names that Jesus uses to describe himself. And the great thing is every single one reveals something beautiful about his character and his mission. And I think it's really been on my mind because I think in the last weeks I've been really processing, I guess that's the best word, processing our time in South Africa on the mission trip. Because if I think of that Jesus is the light of the world, notice that says he's the light of the world, not the light of my world. So it really got me thinking about some of the things that I learned in South Africa. Last week was a lot of fun to sit up here and talk about the mission trip. I am going to tell a couple more stories this week. I'm still processing. It may take some time. But before we get into the light of the world, I'm just going to lift us all up in prayer. Dear Lord, I just thank you so much for bringing us all here this week. I pray, Lord, that you would continue to work in the lives of every woman in this room. Lord, I'm just so thankful for a community of women that believe in you, Lord. I'm so grateful that we get to come here and praise you and live in a community of fellowship. I pray that the words that will be shared about the light of the world, that we would remember that you are the light of the world and we should reflect from you. I'm just so thankful for you, Lord. I pray this in your name. Amen. So I started to think about darkness versus light. And there's something about light that I think everybody in the room would really connect to, right? We most likely all experience the power going out, whether that's at a storm or it's just the power went out. And when the power goes out and it's dark outside, it's suddenly something as simple as walking across the room or, trying to find a flashlight, because nobody ever puts their flashlights in the same spot, right? So if the lights go out and I'm like, flashlight. So something like that can become really difficult. We start to get cautious because we can't see where we're going in darkness. Darkness changes everything, right? Light to darkness, we have the beautiful sunlight out today, but if I turned off all the lights in here and I asked you guys to start moving around, there may be some I don't want to bump into this table, I don't want to bump into this person. The Bible also uses darkness as a picture of sin, of fear, of confusion, of hopelessness, and separation from God. And that's where I have to stop, right? So Bible uses darkness as a picture of sin. In South Africa, they said that sin was everything you say, everything that you think, everything that you do that goes against God. All right? So that's how they see sin. But into that darkness came Jesus. John 8:12 says, for some reason I thought I had it written down, but I don't. 8:12 Is it weird that I can't find?
Christine knows
I am the
it.
light of
Yeah.
the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but have the light.
There it is. I am so sorry. That's when you realize, like, even people always mess up. There's no 12 in this Bible that I'm looking at. Now that you said it, then Jesus again spoke to them, saying, I am the light of the world. The one who follows me will not walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. And the reason that Christine knows that verse is because
I said it at my baptism.
she said it at her baptism, understanding that she was no longer in darkness, she was with the light of life. So notice in that verse that Jesus didn't say, I'm bringing a light. I know where the light is. He is boldly declaring, I am the light of the world. And that statement changes everything for us as believers. So today, I thought it would be cool to see how the theme of light runs through the entire Bible, from Genesis all the way to Revelation. So we're going to go back to Genesis, but keep John 8:12 marked, because we're going to come back. All right, so I am going all the way, and my husband did say that I was cheating because I did a lesson on Genesis 1:1 through 4, but I did not copy anything.
How many has he done on?
These are, yeah, right? Don't make me laugh. So, I brought something very special home from South Africa. All right, so Genesis 1:1 through 4 says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth was a formless and desolate emptiness, and the darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering the surface of the waters. Then God said, let there be light, and there was light. God saw that light was good, and God separated the light from the darkness. That's always amazed me. Before the sun, before the moons, before the stars, before the mountains, before the oceans, before the animals, before people, the very first thing that God created was light. Was light. And I said this in my first lesson, and I'll say it again. God simply spoke, and light existed. And I think that is so amazing that when God speaks, it happens. It may not happen in the timing we'd like it to, but it happens. And when God simply spoke and light existed, you have to wonder why. Why light first? Or maybe that's just me. Why light first? Well, think of the world we're in today. Nothing lives without light. Without light, there's no growth. If you're a plant person, thank you, tell them. So, plants need light. Plants need light. Without light, I can assure you, as the plant unperson I am, plants need light. They also need water. So if you're thinking about getting a plant, understand that you need those two things. There's no growth. A plant needs light. It's not going to grow without that light. And just like plants needing light, people need light too. Do you ever get to the point where it rains for a couple days? And it's cloudy, or it's winter time? Christine just went. Right? So people need light. Light. Everything that has life depends on light. And that's more than science, right? I could stand up here and get into the science of what they say, why we need light, and all that kind of stuff. It's actually, in the Bible, it's a spiritual picture. Just as physical life depends on that light, the spiritual life depends on Jesus, who is the light. So from Genesis 1, we're going to go to the New Testament, to John chapter 1. So in John chapter 1, John intentionally echoes the words in Genesis. So in John 1:1 through 5, it says, In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things came into being through him, and apart from him, not even one thing came into being that has come into being. In him was life, and the life was the light of mankind. And the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not grasp it. John is trying to make us understand that Jesus wasn't an afterthought. It wasn't like, oh, wait, I should probably make a plan B. Jesus was plan A. He was there in the beginning. Jesus was there in the beginning. Genesis says in the beginning, and so does John. Why? Because Jesus was at the beginning. Genesis introduces our creation, and John introduces our creator, or our, what is it? Creator, as they say. So God is our creator, and Jesus was not that afterthought. He introduces that, God introduces us in John to Jesus. Verse 4 says, in him was life, and the life was the light of mankind. I don't know if you've ever noticed this. I kind of guess I noticed it with this study, but life and light always seem to go together. Life and light. Like I just said, people need light to grow. If we think about our spiritual journey, we need the light to grow. If you want to grow, oh no, sorry. They always go together, life and light. Jesus is that source of life and light. I love verse 5. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not grasp it. Darkness has never defeated God's light. Not in Genesis, not on the cross, not today, not ever. John 6:68, to whom shall I go when you have the words of eternal life? Right? Sorry, lost my train of thought. Sometimes our world does feel dark. We watch the news. We hear the stories of families falling apart, of heartbreaking crime, and it's easy to wonder if that darkness is winning in our lives. But John is here to remind us that darkness has never overcome Christ, never once. In South Africa, I saw poverty, I saw hardship of people and families. But I also saw hope in believers, a community that were bound together no matter what, and joy in a little girl who found fun in the smallest of items. The light of the world, Jesus our Creator. That brings us to an incredible prophecy. Hundreds of years before Jesus was born, God made a promise through Isaiah. One might say that Isaiah was looking ahead. Get it? Because it was a prophecy. Anyway, I thought that joke was really funny. Isaiah looked ahead because it's thanks. Isaiah was ahead because God made a promise through Isaiah in Isaiah 9:2. So I'm going to flip over. Thank you to Terry for these amazing little things. I'm going to flip over to Isaiah 9:2. In Isaiah 9:2, it says, the people who walk in darkness will see a great light. Those who live in a dark land, the light will shine on them. Imagine hearing those words as an Israelite. Israel had endured centuries of disappointment. Have you ever felt like you were there? Centuries of disappointment? I know I have, because I'm centuries old. Just kidding. So, in Israel, they dealt with foreign armies, they dealt with captivity, and they also dealt with waiting. For me, waiting is a big thing, right? Wondering where God is. And that is exactly where they were, wondering where God was as these armies come at them, as they find themselves in captivity, and they find themselves waiting for God's promise to come true. But God was promising that there was a great light coming. I don't know if they were like, I picture in my head like the Israelites, like, where's the big light? Like they're just waiting for a zap or something, right? I don't know if that's true. Please don't get me on that one. But that's just what I pictured when I wrote that down. So if you're a fan of SpongeBob, this will make sense. 100 years later. Otherwise, fast forward 100 years, hundreds of years later. Matthew chapter 4 tells us that Jesus began ministering in Galilee. And Matthew quotes this verse in Isaiah, and then he says, this is it. Can you imagine? He quotes Isaiah in 9:2 saying, the people who walk in darkness will see a great light. Those who live in a dark land, the light will shine on them. And in Galilee, Jesus says, hi, this is it. If you were wondering, this is it. And I feel like so many times, understanding that Jesus is that promised light, we all have those moments of like, oh, this is it. Oh, that's it. Okay, almost missed it. So this is it. Especially when your eyes are so focused maybe on something else that you think should happen, it's so easy to miss that this is it. Like I said, if they're looking for a blinding light, how do they understand that Jesus is saying, I am that light? Like, you don't have to look anywhere else. He was saying in that moment that he was simply not another teacher. He was the promised light that Israel had been waiting for. God always keeps his promises. I'm going to say that one more time. Maybe write it down. God always keeps his promises. We may not always understand his timing, but every promise he makes is fulfilled perfectly. Right? All right. So let's jump back. Like I said, we're going to go back to John 8:12. I can't let Christine down and just go over it just that little bit, right? I just have to stop here too. I found the greatest thing for Christine. I am so proud of this. I meant to bring it today so I could show all of you. I found Christine a Jesus nightlight.
I love that. I can't wait.
Sorry. So if you understand Christine and you love well, that sounds really bad, like the rest of us don't, but you love Jesus. And so it's so important. And it even has like the blue sash, just like all her dolls with Jesus. The only weird thing is he's standing like this. It's kind of weird. But I'm okay with that. Sorry. All right. Fast forward back to my lesson. All right. Now, back in John 8:12, which I'm going to read one more time. Then Jesus again spoke to them, saying, I am the light of the world. The one who follows me will not walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. Again, this is where Jesus is saying, I'm the light of the world. But you know I love history. So, first let's understand where and when Jesus was saying this. Where was he standing? Just so you know, he was standing, actually, depends on who you look at. Some people believe that he was standing in the temple. Some people believe he was standing on the Mount of Olives teaching. Hey, if you figure it out, let me know. But I think the message is clear in what he was saying. So it's that tricky little word, like they all went their own way in chapter 7. Right? So where did they go? And then he went, if you read the top of chapter 8, but Jesus went to the Mount of Olives. Commentators are a little torn on that. So, but besides that, John chapter 8 happens during, here's my disclaimer, during or immediately after the Feast of the Tabernacles. Feast of the Tabernacles, I want you to picture the biggest party you've ever been to, right? and not the party we're going to have in heaven when we're all together again. It might be something like that, but this was one of Israel's biggest celebration, this Feast of the Tabernacles. This was a party. This was dancing, it was singing, it was celebrating. It was the biggest party, the Feast of Tabernacles.
This is when we went into Bethlehem that night.
Yes, yes. So you bring up a good point. When a small bit of us went to Israel, it was Ramadan, I believe, right? It was Ramadan. So again, but we walked in and it was like just wall to wall partying people, right? Lost it again. So one part of the celebration happened every evening in the court of women inside the temple. So every night this would happen inside the court of women inside the temple. So you're going to have to use your imaginations for this. So inside the temple stood 4 enormous golden lampstands. So if you need, there's one, there's one, there's one, there's one. Okay? These 4 enormous golden lampstands. Historicals writing tell us that these lamps were incredibly tall. They'd be taller than this building. Young priests actually had to climb ladders to fill the giant bowls with oil. And if you still don't believe how enormous they were, the wicks of these candles were made from worn out priestly garments. Made out of worn out priestly garments. Crazy, right? So when they were lit, the light could be seen all across, I know I said lit a little hard. When they were lit, you could see it all the way across Jerusalem. Like you could see it anywhere. Again, people danced, they sang, they celebrated. Why? Because those lights reminded Israel of when God led his people through the wilderness. God guided them by a pillar of fire every night. So you see where I'm going, a little, symbolish kind of thing. The pillar reminded them that God's presence was with them. So imagine it, right? Imagine people coming into this temple and looking at these pillars of lights and saying, hey, that reminds me, that God's presence is with us. Do you remember where Jesus was at the Feast of the Tabernacle? Did they need to look at those? Or should they have focused on the light of the world that was standing in the same place as them? Right? So imagine those people looking at those symbols. And Jesus takes this important symbol and applies it to himself. Can you imagine the gasps? What? You're saying that you're the light of the world? Right? No. That reminds us. That's, we always, we always have you too. Oh, okay. So he says, I am the light of the world. He is saying, you don't have to look at that symbol anymore. I'm God's presence. I am God's presence. And in that statement, I am the light of the world, there are 3 beautiful truths. And this is where I channel my inner Pastor Vince. In this statement, there are 3 beautiful truths. First, Jesus reveals God. If you've ever wondered what God is like, look at Jesus. He shows us God's love. He shows us God's mercy and God's compassion. So Jesus reveals God. God is like, if you want to know what God is like, look at Jesus. Second, Jesus gives a direction. Notice he says in that verse, the one who follows me. Following is a movement, right? Don't come up here, but if somebody were to come up here and I started going, I am making a movement. I am following. He is saying in that moment, it's not enough to just know about Jesus, right? It's not enough to attend church. With that, movement means growth. We're back to the light and the plan again, right? Movement means growth. So if we're following Jesus, we're growing. I think one of the biggest problems for us, I guess you could say, is sometimes he only shows us one step at a time. So if I brought Linda up here and it was all dark and I was like, flashlight, step there, step there, step there, she might be a little nervous, right? And that's where we feel that. And that Jesus gives directions reminds me of Psalm 119, 105.
That's my favorite.
Oh my gosh, I'm hitting all the Sunday school teachers' favorite verses today. That one says, your word is a lamp to my feet and a light unto my path. If you're an old Amy Grant singer, she sings that song. It's beautiful. So,
What was that, 119.5?
119, 105. Psalm 119, verse 105. I got to stop getting these mission people worked up. So, your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. Did you notice it says a lamp to my feet? Not a spotlight shining 20 years into the future. Wouldn't that be great? But it's saying, lamp to my feet, not a spotlight shining 20 years into the future. God usually gives us enough light for today's step. He asks us to trust him with tomorrow. That's all we get. Little shining on the feet. Third, Jesus gives life. He says, we'll have the light of life. I want to remind you that real life isn't found in money, success, or comfort. Real life is found in Christ alone, and he calls us to follow him every day. He calls us to follow him every day. There was a moment in South Africa where I needed to remind myself of that when plans changed. We had 18 kids in our crew, 2 crew leaders, and me. On Thursday, one of the leaders, Mello, got very sick and wasn't able to return. So with 2 of us taking care of the kids and activities, I started to see a little bit of chaos. I so badly wanted to, I don't know if I should say this, I so badly wanted to bring down the hammer on these kids because they were ready to see what they could get away with since most of my directions got lost in translation. In that moment, I literally stopped and said, God, what do you want me to do? Because I felt like I wasn't doing anything, nothing for the kids, nothing for the gospel. And his answer was so clear, grace. Lisa, give them grace. So that's exactly what I did. If you know me and all the plans and order I like to give, at one moment, I was on the mat with 18 kids by myself as the other leader was trying to get the snacks. And they were rolling around, they were talking to each other, and yes, some of them were even standing up chasing one another. Somebody walked by me and said, very calmly, well, what's going on here? And I replied, Grace. I replied, it seems I may have lost control. But don't worry, God's got them. They just smiled and kept walking. And a few minutes later, I saw God's grace in the eyes of Lifa when he grabbed my hand and said, I love you, Mama Lisa. Yeah. So God gives us enough light for our next faithful step. And that's where our faith grows. So I'm going to jump to Matthew 5.
Bring the hammer down.
So me. So Matthew 5, 14 through 16. That's where I'm going. Matthew 5, 14 through 16. This is where Jesus is telling his followers, you are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden, nor do people light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand, and it gives light to all who are in the house. Your light must shine before people in such a way that they may see your good works and glorify your Father who is in heaven. Jesus tells his followers, you are the light of the world. Wait a minute. Didn't Jesus say he's the light of the world? He is, but we reflect his light. Wait another minute. So does that mean that's what I was doing when I offer the same grace God has given to me to those kids? It does. That's a reflection. Think about the moon. If you didn't know this, the moon doesn't create light. It simply reflects the sun. That's us. When people see kindness, they see Jesus. When they experience our forgiveness, they see Jesus. When we love on people who are difficult, they see Jesus. When we remain faithful during suffering, they see Jesus. Our goal isn't for people to notice us. Our goal is for people to notice Christ. I thought it was fitting, and it's not in here because it just happened last night. We were watching the movie A Bug's Life, and two kids kind of scooted in on their scooters, and they were like, and me and Miss Keeley, they may have ate us out of popcorn at home, but they were more than willing to sit down. These are 10 and 12-year-old kids. Sit down with a group of people they didn't know to watch A Bug's Life. It was a moment. I hope that they notice Christ in that moment. I think Casting Crowns says it best. I'm just a nobody, trying to tell everybody all about somebody that saved my soul. I'm living for the world to see, nobody but Jesus. Or another Casting Crowns song, I don't want to leave a legacy. I don't care if they remember me. Only Jesus. It's almost like they already read this lesson. Anyway, so that proves what is said in verse 16. So that they may see your good works and glorify your Father who is in heaven. Everything points back to him. People should leave our presence thinking more about Jesus than about us. In South Africa, I can't count the number of times I heard the gospel spoken to kids by the leaders of the camp. These leaders walked miles, drove miles after that, and spent their whole break from school showing kindness and goodness of God to kids. Their joy and generosity will always be a blessing to my heart. They are living for the world to see, nobody but Jesus. They are reflectors of our mighty God. Finally, let's look at Revelation 21. When you have a revelation, then you guys realize I'm almost at the end. So, Revelation 21:23. Revelation 21:23. 21:20. You think I would know it because it's going to have light in it. 21:23. And the city has no need of the sun or of the moon to shine on it, for the glory of God has illuminated it, and its lamp is the Lamb. Isn't that beautiful? The Bible begins with light, and the Bible ends with light. One day there will be no more darkness, no more night, no more fear, no more sickness, no more funerals, no more tears, no more sin. No darkness, because Jesus himself is the everlasting light. It's a beautiful story of Scripture. Genesis begins with God creating light. John tells us that Jesus is the light. Jesus tells us to reflect the light. And Revelation ends with Jesus being the everlasting light forever. The Bible tells us this incredible story. God's light entered a dark world to rescue people from darkness forever. And every one of us knows somebody living in darkness, right? The gospel story that was told in the kids' camp. We all know someone living in darkness. It could be a family member. For me, it is. It could be a neighbor, a coworker, a friend.